Hi you guys. Well, today I'm going to be working on my 2005 Yukon Denali. It's got a 6.0 Vortec engine in it. It's the XL size. Today I'm going to be topping off my air conditioning. It's been kind of smoky lately, so I hadn't been able to work my cars. So we're going to top off the refrigerant and make sure we have enough, so make sure it's super cold. It's starting to get sunny now, so I want it to be nice and cold when I drive around. Anyway, let's get to work. One of the first things we want to check before we start buying anything is to check if the AC compressor is working. This is a diagram of all the fan belts and pulleys and tensioners that you have in front of your engine. If you look on the lower left, there's your AC compressor. Here's a picture of what your AC compressor looks like. And let's just say, I hope you never have to replace one of these. It can be done, it's cheaper to do it yourself, but it is a hassle to get out. Now again, your AC is powered by your crankshaft, and you have a tensioner pulley that keeps your fan belt taut. This is the smaller of the two fan belts. And of course, your AC compressor. When you turn your engine on, your AC compressor doesn't come on. It only comes on if you want cold air. So let's go under the hood and look at the engine and find the AC compressor. Okay, if you go on the passenger side and look down behind your radiator and in front of your fan belts, you'll see the crankshaft pulley, you'll see the AC tensioner pulley, and here is your AC compressor. The reason why you want to know where this is, you want to make sure it's working, otherwise you'll be spending money for nothing. Like I said before, the compressor only goes on if you want cold air. Once you turn on your air conditioner inside, an electrical charge is sent to your compressor, and what will happen is your compressor will go on. You'll see the pulley turning. What we want to do is make sure it's working. Now, number one, if you have refrigerant but it's low, the compressor should come on. But number two, if you turn your air compressor on and it doesn't turn, well, it can mean many things. It could be a fuse, it could be a relay, it could be a pressure sensor. But today we're only going to discuss one thing, and that is low pressure, or that you're low on refrigerant. If you don't have enough pressure in the system is designed to shut down so it doesn't damage itself. This is where a shady mechanic will tell you have a bad or blown compressor and needs to be replaced. That could cost hundreds upon hundreds of dollars when all it was low in refrigerant. So if yours doesn't turn, we're going to assume that it's just low in refrigerant. Okay, the first thing you're going to need is one of these R134A charging hose with gauge. They run anywhere from $15 to $25. This one's a pretty basic one, but you can spend more money and get some that are more complicated if you want. But for the average guy like me and you, this works perfectly, and it's easy to use. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to locate the low side service port. It's not this one here, this is the high side. But if you look back here, this is your low side service port. This is what you're going to connect your hose to. So let's go ahead and unscrew this cap and set it aside. Okay, now that you got the cap off, let's take a look at the gauge. As you're looking at the gauge, you can see some colors there. You'll see three colors, white, green, and red from left to right. If the needle's in the white area, it means that it's low in freon or low pressure. If it's in the green area, it means that it has the right amount of freon or refrigerant in it. If you're in the red area, if the needle's in the red area, it means you put too much in there and there's too much pressure, which could damage the system. Now, if you look on the left side of the gauge, and you'll see this nozzle that you screw a can into it. It's got a pin on the underside. You want to make sure this is off because we're going to check the pressure on the system to see if we are low. How do you know it's off? All you have to do is just turn it clockwise until it stops. Don't turn it down too tight. Okay, you want to be really aware of this. Once you tighten it down, if you look on the other side, you'll see a needle sticking out. That's to puncture the can, but we're not ready for that yet. Now, if you look on the right side of the gauge, you're going to see this coupler. This is where you're going to connect the low side of the service port. This connects just the same way you connect an airline that has a coupler. It works the same way. This is pretty easy so far, right? Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check to see if we're low in refrigerant. So the first thing you want to do is turn the car on. Turn your air conditioner temperature to max AC. You're going to do that by turning on the fan at the maximum speed. Now we're going to turn the temperature down on the driver and passenger side all the way down to 60. Now we're going to direct the air so we can feel how cold it is. We want to do this so we can feel all the air in the system coming through these vents only. To do this, we're going to press this button until it points at that man's head. Because we want the compressor to kick on, we don't want to get the vehicle cold. So keep open your driver's door and open up your passenger door. Now let's go into the engine compartment. Okay, just like I showed you, let's go look down into the engine and make sure that the clutch is engaged in the AC compressor. Again, if yours isn't turning, we're going to assume that you're just low on refrigerant. Make sure that the hose is turned off. Now we're ready to connect. This is your high side. Here's your low side. This is the one you want. Go ahead and unscrew this cap. Now we can connect the hose to the low side of the service port. Once connected, we can see how much pressure we have in our system. Okay, now what we want to do is watch the gauge. We're going to hear a click. That means the compressor's on and it's going to create pressure. You'll see the gauge rise. Once it's pressurized, it'll click off. You'll hear another click here in a second. You can see my refrigerant is a little low. Let me play it again so you can hear the click. There's the click and it's going off. For my vehicle, I should be getting about 45 psi. Now it's clicking on. You can see the arrow didn't reach all the way up to the green, so I may need a little more refrigerant. In order to screw in 1 can of R134A, the refrigerant, it's now time to open up this valve. Open it all the way. Turn it counterclockwise. As you can see now, the needle's up out of the way. Once it's open, go ahead and screw your can of refrigerant into it. Now that you got your can screwed in, go ahead and connect it to your low side service port. Since I only need a little bit of refrigerant, I'm just going to turn it on really quick and get a shot in there, then quickly turn it off to get it up to 45 psi. Now I'm just going to take a few moments here and see if it reaches up to 45 psi. Yeah, that's good enough. I'm all good. Now I'm just topping off my system off with a couple of ounces or so of refrigerant. But if you're curious to know, if you completely evacuated your system and want to know how much to put in, if you only have one air conditioner in your Yukon, it'll take approximately 2 pounds. But if you also have one in the back, you have an air conditioner in the front and an air conditioner in the back, you're going to need 2 3/4 pounds. But today we're just topping it off. Okay, now let's just remove the coupler. Now let's go ahead and screw the cap in and we're all done. See how easy that was? You just saved yourself a couple of $100. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and of course hit the bell. Until then, we'll see you at my next video. Bye.